Time now for the WoezorTV report. Let's take a look at the headlines. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's settle in for the details of the story. Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa has disclosed that 62 Ghanaians have died while 15 others remain missing after being recruited to fight in the Russia-Ukraine war. Speaking after a bilateral engagement in Moscow, the minister said Ghana raised concerns over the illegal recruitment of young Ghanaians to fight in the conflict. The Russian government said has pledged to work with Ghana to stop the illegal enlistment of Ghanaian youth. Mr. Ablakwa also stressed that government will continue to protect the Ghanaians from being lured into war, saying that the conflict is not Ghana's war and should not be claiming Ghanaian lives.
We raised the matter of a growing number of Ghanaian youth who are being lured to fight in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and we are seeing an increase in casualties. About 62 Ghanaians have lost their lives and 15 of them are missing. So I did raise the matter, and I'm happy with the response from Foreign Minister Lavrov, who has pledged that we can work together to stop these illegal recruitments happening on the blind side of our two governments, so that we can protect the lives of young people who are being lured on the front lines. So I want to assure Ghanaians back home that that matter, which is of concern to Ghanaians, how we work together to make sure our young people are protected and are safe. I have raised the matter, and I have received very encouraging response from Foreign Minister Lavrov, and we will continue to work together to stop those illegal recruitment channels so that we can protect the lives of our nationals. So overall, it's been a very, very good bilateral engagement, and I want to thank Foreign Minister Lavrov and his team and my colleagues for
Now, away from Moscow, the Bank of Ghana has inaugurated the Non-Interest Financial Advisory Council (NIFAC) to support the orderly development, regulation and supervision of non-interest banking and finance in Ghana. The council will advise the bank on governance and regulation while helping to build sound, inclusive and credible non-interest finance sector. At the inauguration in Accra, Governor Johnson Pandit-Isiama stressed the need for strong governance, consumer protection and public confidence to ensure the sector's growth. He charged members of NIFAC to work with independence, professionalism and diligence in public interest and to safeguard the stability of Ghana's financial system. And the government of Ghana has paid 10.816 billion Ghana cedis to bondholders under the Domestic Debt Exchange Program. According to a press release issued by the Ministry of Finance on Wednesday, 19th August 2026, the payment was made in full and in cash, bringing the total amount paid to bondholders since 2025 to 41.36 billion Ghana cedis. The ministry says this is the third DDEP coupon payment made fully in cash and was settled on schedule. It says the timely payment demonstrates government's fiscal discipline and commitment to meeting its debt obligations while strengthening investor confidence, reducing sovereign default risk, and reinforcing Ghana's financial credibility. The ministry further assures bondholders, investors and the public that all future DDEP obligations will also be paid in full and on schedule. Now moving on, Member of Parliament for Madina, Francis Xavier Sosu, has marked this year's Homowo celebration with a compassion outreach program for vulnerable residents in the constituency. The initiative provided food items and financial support to the aged, sick and other vulnerable people.
For Madina constituency, Francis Xavier Sosu has marked this year's Homowo festivities with a compassion outreach program aimed at supporting vulnerable residents in the constituency. The initiative targets the aged, sick and other vulnerable people, with the beneficiaries receiving food items including rice, oil and maize, as well as cash support where necessary.
There are people who are not well. Some are in hospitals. Some are in their homes, but they are not well, and they also need to be reached out to. So we take the advantage of the season and the opportunity to reach out to them. So this week is going to be the Sosu Compassion Outreach, and that's what we are doing, sharing all these items.
Beyond the Homowo outreach, the MP says several interventions are ongoing in the constituency, including the Madina Job Center, health and education projects, as well as scholarship programs. He says the job center has so far impacted more than 15,000 people, while efforts are being made to address infrastructure challenges, particularly roads.
What we have not been very successful at is what I will call the physical development. I mean, our road infrastructure and so on and so forth. But that is something which is also work in progress, because almost all roads in Madina have been given on contract, except that the contractors haven't shown good faith with coming to perform as we expected. But I'm hopeful that before the end of this tenure or this our tenure, all these contractors will come back to site to work. The contractor explained that the road, even though he's on the road and working and investing, the road has not yet been packaged for him. That's by the Ministry of Roads, the urban roads especially. And so there's no guarantee of tenure. And so I would just use this platform as an opportunity to appeal again to the Road Minister, Honorable Agboja. I'm hopeful that whatever is the challenges between the road contractor and the ministry, we can resolve those things so that these roads could be constructed.
The MP also used the occasion to wish residents across the Madina area a peaceful and successful Homowo celebration. For WoezorTV, Ellen from Pong.
Away from Madina, the Ghana Education Service had dismissed social media reports claiming that the free SHS policy has been cancelled and parents have been directed to pay 1,500 cedis for chop boxes, trunks and other items. In a circular issued on Tuesday, August 18, the GES described the claims as false and urged parents, guardians and students to disregard them. The service stressed that free SHS remains in place and no directive has been issued requiring parents to make such payments. GES also cautioned the public against making payments based on unverified information and urged them to rely on its official communication channels. The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Gold Board, Sami Jimfi, has called for a new social compact between the state, mining companies and host communities to ensure Ghana's mineral wealth delivers greater local benefits. Speaking at the National Mining Dialogue in Accra on Tuesday, August 12, the CEO said mining communities must no longer be treated as mere landowners, but as development partners and economic shareholders.
Gold commercially for more than a century. Yet for most of this long history, Ghanaians have not been the real owners of the mines. The large-scale mining sector has been largely foreign-led, and too much of the value has leaked out of the country through ownership structures, financing arrangements, imported inputs, offshore services, limited beneficiation, and weak local industrial linkages. That is why Obuasi can produce gold for generations and still not compare to Johannesburg in industrial depth, urban development, economic opportunities, and what have you. This is not because Obuasi lacks resources. The state of development in Obuasi points to a truism that extraction without intentional policy does not automatically produce transformation. Mines do not build nations by accident. Nations build value through deliberate ownership, strategic partnerships, infrastructure linkages, and disciplined policy management. If we want a new story, we must own more, refine more, process more, fabricate more, and retain more. It's as simple as that. Communities must be active participants in the value chain, from exploration services and production support to logistics, fabrication, environmental services, refining, jewelry, and downstream enterprise. When these roles are localized, a mine becomes more than a pit or a shaft. It becomes a training ground, a market, an industrial anchor, and a platform.
Time now for some international news. Now, doctors in Sri Lanka have removed a 3.1 kg bladder stone from a man which they believe to be the largest of its kind on record. The procedure was carried out last week at a hospital in Trinakomali in the east of the country. The 55-year-old patient had been admitted to the hospital after suffering a stroke. But while receiving treatment, doctors found stones in his urinary bladder after noticing that he was experiencing difficulty urinating. During the surgery, doctors removed the bladder stone, which was weighed as much as a full-term baby and was around the size of an ostrich egg. According to doctors, the patient remains at the hospital and is continuing to receive treatment for other medical conditions. Dr. Balakrishnan said the stone would have been in the patient's bladder for about 5 to 10 years. Bladder stones are formed when minerals in the urine crystallize, turning into solid lumps. They commonly occur when the bladder does not empty completely, leaving concentrated urine that can turn into crystals. Small bladder stones sized like grains of sand can pass on their own, but stones bigger than 1 centimeter often block urine flow and may require medical attention. Now this brings us to the end of the WoezorTV report. Many thanks for staying with us. I am Karen Nauyu Koti.